There you go. All right.
Yeah.
Reason I can work together better, both you kind of leaning towards the humanities group, the science group.
What's your thought process?
So. I don't really enjoy it. Just like my science.
Yes. Mhm.
It's like, let's just see him now.
Very fine. Yeah.
I already know
Yeah.
But as
Listen, it is we're showing it around London. There's so many cool science places there. Like science was really born in London. You could argue, there's some European discoveries, but like the center of the scientific revolution was there. And so you can see where Isaac Newton was, you can see in Oxford, you can go see a chalkboard where Albert Einstein, like they didn't erase after he was there. Like you see like so many cool, like, yeah. It's one thing to learn the scientific methods, like getting captured, but like seeing like where science happened, like it just makes it stand out. So to me, it's an amazing opportunity. Yeah. Yeah. So what do we want to say about the scientific methods?
So, what is it's in it? Dr. Reeves and I were over there in 22, so we kind of done this before. We worked together and traveled together, and my course is kind of like we don't care about credit, that's fine. But my course is kind of like the gen ed credit for science, medical science, computational sciences. And Dr. Reeves is an interdisciplinary
For humanities. So for certain majors, like that will really count. I know, for example, I'm teaching one interdisciplinary humanities course now, and I have a lot of business students in them. So like it's depending on what your major is, like it can really play an important role in thinking about how to get your genetic credits.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Knock out a big one there in a few weeks of very enjoyable, memorable experience. But this is kind of our approach, and like Dr. Reeves said, we illustrate the scientific method or a manner of learning, or a way of thinking, a way to approach problem solving. It's a method. Looking at some of the most famous scientists in history, most important discoveries in history, some of the finest museums in the world are within walking distance of the Daniel House. So it's a pretty amazing opportunity and concentration of science and scientific discoveries. So we're trying to illustrate how was the scientific method used, how was science used to solve important problems that change the course of history, to change the world. And so I feel like that's something that hopefully not only illustrates what science is and how it's applicable, but kind of teaches you a method of how do I solve my own problems? How do I learn? How do I gather information? And how do I maybe test certain problems and that sort of thing and apply it to yourself? Even if you're not a scientist, you can use the scientific means. And you are say if you go into the medical field, and solving problems for you and others.
And my course is much more humanities based. So it's much more learning history, but figure out like what does it mean? Like what is the universe that we find ourselves in, and why would God kind of make it that way? And so one of the interesting things for me is that science was born in a Christian culture, in a Christian context. People saw study of nature as kind of this devout activity, and you are uncovering the mind of God. Even thinking about like a law of nature, if there's a law, there's got to be a lawgiver behind everything. So thinking about like the birth of the scientific revolution in this Christian context, is something that we think about. And then we think a lot about kind of the main science and faith questions. So questions of design, questions of evolution. So we go and I'm not sure that we're gonna go see it, but Darwin's house where he kind of lived is like South London. It's like an hour and 20 minutes if you want to go in this little small English village. But we can go to a place in Oxford where there's this famous science or religion debate between Wilberforce, who's like, I'm not from a monkey, and then Huxley, who was like, you know, Darwin's bulldog, and they had this debate right there, the room, this famous debate happened. And so we talk about it. And so my approach to these sorts of things is to help people wherever they come down on these issues to think more deeply about it. So we read a diversity of opinions and like let people for themselves like wrestle with these sorts of issues. Also think about questions of human nature. Are we allowed to remake human nature? Like we last time, and I think we'll do it this time, went to Bletchley Park. Have y'all seen the Imitation Game movie? Where it's about the Enigma code being broke to World War II. Like we can see that place, but it's also really the birth of the computer, right? And so what does AI mean? Can we create really intelligent AI? Like, can we remake ourselves with technology? Like, is that appropriate? And so those sorts of like science and faith questions are the ones that I like to think about because that's my own background, my own history. And so we will wrestle with those in class. And so it's just really cool to do it right there where it happened and to think about these ideas. And especially when you go to the History of Science Museum, you see a lot of like the history of people wrestling with evidence and the history of people trying to make sense of what science means for society. That's really the question. Like, it's one thing, like you can do science and you can be very narrow and you're like, you know, when I do this in the laboratory, this result, but what does it mean for us as human beings? That's the kind of questions that on the humanity side that we'll wrestle with.
We're not going to London without seeing the cool things that are in London. Or at least giving you the opportunity to do that. That's the Tower of London on the left. Have you been to London? Yeah, okay. Not yet.
You definitely got to do it.
That's super cool. So you can go inside and tour like the beef eaters get into. We took a tour one day. Dr. Reeves and I took a group to Greenwich, which is the side of the prime meridian. So you can straddle the hemispheres of the planet, right? Where time comes from. The Royal Observatory is there as well. But we went via a little boat tour down the Thames. So that's a picture I took from there. We go right under the Tower Bridge and we, you know, a little tour. It's pretty cool. We drive too bad, but it's pretty. But the course, while we do have some class time and we do talk a little bit about, or we spend some time, you know, kind of like a class. The majority of our time is in excursions, right? Like where we're going out visiting these places and interacting and seeing things with our own eyes. And then we talk about it and learn from them. So it's good. Exactly.
But we also want to combine it with like to see some of the highlights, right? So when we go to Oxford, you can go to Christ Church and see where like from the first Harry Potter movie where they go up the steps and the dining room, like it's basically they use that. And there's other places like they filmed. And so like they're gonna be in Oxford, like go see where they filmed. There's a place where the infirmary for I think Azkaban movie, like the infirmary, like is one of the buildings there that you could go in and kind of look at. And so like you're just like, you know, do it while you're there. Like, and so like we try to have that nice balance of learning the science, but like if you've never come back to London, which I hope you come back, but like you also want to see the Tower, you want to see the other like highlights.
I think the next one is just more of the London. So Westminster Abbey, kind of something you absolutely should see, need to see. At the same time, there's a lot of real science. There's a little science area thing with Hawking and Kelvin.
Newton.
And, yeah,
Yep.
we talked a little bit about excursions. We go to Cambridge, we go to Oxford. That's supposed to be a descendant of the actual apple tree. So like craft, right, or like in some way they essentially. Oxford, we had Cambridge, one of the extra things we saw outside of like Stephen Hawking's apartment, Watson and Crick's lab, and the pub where they announced modestly that they had solved the key to life or something like that.
Yeah.
We also saw where Pink Floyd was formed. Their Cambridge place. So pretty awesome trips. And I had never used to 22, I had never seen these towns outside the big city of London, get a whole different feel. Really cool college towns outside of the big city.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're not to be missed.
So, I'm sorry, you go ahead. You go ahead. Yeah.
We also get like a weekend to go add something in. So you have the Daniel House. So you have a bed there, so you can stay there. It's just like, you know, you could be in London for like 6 months and not see everything. So you could just stay there and like, I want to focus. Or you could say like, for this weekend, I'm just gonna take the train under take the Channel, basically go see Paris or go see Scotland. There's a 5-hour train to Edinburgh if you would go see Scotland. So like there's opportunities there for like 2 nights away. Just, you know, if you're there, feel free to see something that you really want to see. So there's a lot of cool opportunities. Also, the way this course is structured, you will end enough time such that you could travel at the end, travel around, because there'll be plenty of time to get back before Cambridge starts. So being in the summertime, yeah, so if you're already over there, like if you want to do this like the week after, like, you know, I need a week in Paris, I don't need like 2 nights, like you could do that as well.
Yeah, students are welcome to like go early or stay after their program. They're just not a part of the program until the designated dates of the program. So you cannot stay in the Daniel House before or after your program. And there's not any like coverage in terms of like medical insurance, that kind of thing outside of like after your program. But we have students do that all the time. They go earlier, they stay late, or friends with them afterwards, or that kind of thing. So it's nice. Yeah, when you're over there, might as well make it.
This is a slide provided by.
Yeah.
Yours.
It is.
And so you probably don't want to be able to include it. There are, you know, if you or someone traveling with you requires accommodations, it's best to communicate quickly. And there's that's something that we can work together with students and provide.
Yeah, absolutely. So Stanford students have curated their environments in a lot of ways to make the Stanford campus work well for all of their different needs, whether it's housing or physical or testing or all kinds of different accommodations. But going to London is going to be a different environment. So you have to consider those things that like you'll be doing a lot of walking, a lot of excessive standing that you may not be used to, or maybe you have a certain type of medication that you take, and try to do some of that research and thinking about what are your needs, how can you best meet your needs in this temporary circumstances. Our Office of Accessibility and Accommodations is great. They will talk with you about how to think about those things and implement those resources abroad. Your accommodations here on campus do not automatically transfer, so I encourage you to talk with them early, learn about which program is the right fit for you. So if you do have, let's say, some sort of physical accommodation and you can't do the excessive walking or excessive standing, well then maybe London's not the right program for you. Maybe let's find a different program that has less walking. So just some things to think about, and things that you'll want to kind of get put in place before it's too late.
So I think that we build in like times for people to relax, because we know you just can't go. But having said that, there's plenty of days where you feel like you're going to like a theme park, like Disney, like, you know, like that feeling at the end of the day, like this, you know, if that's okay with you, then this would be a good. This is a couple of photos that so this is the natural history, so like, I mean, you can walk there from day one. So it's just amazing, like some of the opportunities that you have. I was there, I have a lot of experience in England, so I spent a year living in Cambridge and I spent a summer in Oxford. And then this past, I've done 2 different May terms, but this past term, like us in London. And so every time I go, I get like new ideas, like, okay, we can do this and we can do this. And so I feel like being there with people who know the city and know what to look is actually like, I think it adds value to your experience. So this was us like finding a little corner, talking about text, talking about ideas, so it's something to look forward to. Here are some of the kind of questions that I often bring up in my class. You know, do we have a soul? Is there intelligent life elsewhere? Is it natural to be religious? Like these sorts of things are kind of what a humanities course on science and Christianity would look like. I mentioned the Harry Potter Crash Church. This is the actual place. It's pretty cool. It's worth visiting. But you have to go the right time because every, 3 times a day, the students in there eating there, right? So like, they like, tourists, you gotta get out. The same pictures. So any questions that y'all have about any of this?
I think we depart July 6th and arrive for the, like, technically begin the 7th. And how many days you said it was, like 16 days or like that?
Very sure.
That would be a good thing for.
Memorize.
Yeah. That's not actually on the.
Yeah, July 6th, July 23rd. So US 6th, arriving with the 7th, then. Get back. What it's.
With the teaching, is that just like spontaneous lectures depending on what phase you're in?
I think we probably last time we kind of had more separate. I think this time we're going to think about ways that we can combine some of our content. I know for me, it's always tied to the particular place. So one of the things I've thought about is like when we go to Oxford, like and see the debate about evolution, can we talk about Darwin that day? Like, so I try to always tie it to some theme that we'll see that. So.
But you'll have like a schedule
Yeah.
to both like logistics wise where you're going, but also how that like ties in courses.
Yeah, so it's definitely a version of the course that I give here. So I teach a God and nature course here. So a lot of the same content, a lot of the same things, but it's more tied closely to what we're actually going to see versus what you would do here. That's it.
And some of it can be on site or close to it, kind of
Yep.
like what Dr. Reed showed you, but then there's also, there at the data house, there are spaces for teaching. And so sometimes what we would do, like before we went out for the day, the students would be like grabbing some breakfast. And I would be with them there, like in the kitchen, kind of on one side, saying, here's what we're doing today, and here's how it kind of applies. This is the semester.
Yeah. Oftentimes it can be easier, like that course was not at the general one, so you have to be a little bit more improv. Yes, exactly. Thank you. We're gonna have because we're looking at actual function at the hotel, but at the Daniel House space to teach, and so oftentimes it was easier to do it before we go out. And then when you've seen the museum for 2 hours, then you can go do whatever you want. You can go see a play, you can go to a restaurant, like it's not as if you have to you're locked into our schedule for 16 hours a day. That's not. We give you plenty of time to explore the city with your friends and people that you meet there.
Are they like yearly? Like, Are these courses?
There will be obviously May term courses in London with Daniel House every year, but this particular version, the last time was 22, 26. So like, I can imagine us 4 years again, like, you know, so it's not like, definitely not every summer and maybe not even every 3 summers. So for us, we actually have to apply to get approved. And so, you know, there's some negotiation with our chairs and with the office to make sure like, is this a good summer to teach it? So I would not expect that it would be taught again before y'all graduate.
So basically what I would say is if there's ever any Sanford Broad program that you see that you're interested in, I would go ahead and apply for it because with any of our programs, May, summer, we can't guarantee that it'll be offered again the following year. Now, we always have a plethora of gen ed credits available, so like there will always be humanities options, there will always be social science, natural science options for May and summer. The courses that are actually being taught though will vary, so there will always be opportunities to get those credits that you need. Just the exact course with exact fact changes. So like that arts and society class, a lot of students like do it in London on the odd or even years, and then in other places on the odd years back to London. So people are like, I want to do it in London. Well, jump on it now, do it in London in summer. Maybe next.
So if I get into it over the summer, you mentioned something about there being May semesters, midterms too.
One of the things that the Daniel House offers is multiple courses. So like there's May term courses and then there's summer courses. And so they try to fill up the Daniel House as much as possible during the summer, especially. And so there will be courses there earlier in the year, but we, for us in our schedule, it was better to do July than it was for May. And so that's kind of why we decided on July.
Yeah, so their May term means that the course starts and finishes within the month of May. Summer means it either starts in May and bleeds into June or longer, or it starts in June and July or whatever, starts in July, but summer term is June through the end of July.
When applications open up, does it matter, if you're like, oh, I was the first to apply, so you get priority to like get into that program? Or like, I know the data maps, a lot of people stay there, so is there like a limit?
Yeah, so for each of our May and summer faculty-led programs, there's 10-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So Dr. Reed will take 10 students, and that's 10 students. For our May and summer term programs in the application process, there is no recommendation letter and there is no essay. So the time at which you do submit your application is crucial in increasing your chances of getting accepted.
Okay, I think I remember that.
Yep. Yep, so I would encourage you at October 17th, 7 a.m. treat the class registration, set your alarm, get up early, and then apply on the website, broadcasting. Right when they open, so that way you can switch.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You can definitely like email the questions, like we're glad to answer anything that we can. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.